So let me take you through this entrance into one of the newly excavated areas.
Asia, the largest and most varied landmass on our planet, offers both the highest peaks and lowest valleys, the longest coastlines, and the widest range of climate extremes found anywhere on Earth. Bordered by the Arctic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, as well as the Red Sea and smaller inland seas, Asia has hosted the most diverse array of plant and animal life through the ages and old early civilizations. This region has also been home to many unusual and sometimes terrifying discoveries that scientists continue uncovering, from potential signs of human sacrifice to the role of demons in prehistoric times. Join us now as we explore 15 such finds in Asia that change everything we thought we knew. Number 15, the fire mummies. Unlike the Egyptians who gently embalmed their nobles, ancient Filipino tribes had a different approach. They turned their departed into fiery mummies. It's like they saw their deceased and said, "Let's bake them and have a sizzling good time in the afterlife." These gruesome methods resulted in a horrifying discovery: the fire mummies of the Kabayan burial caves. The mountainous northern Philippines were once home to the Ibaloy and Kalanguya tribes who practiced complex mummification using fire on deceased members of their society. When a member was nearing death, they were made to ingest levels of salt that were likely poisonous in order to desiccate the body from the inside out. After passing, the corpse would be roasted for weeks or months over low heat from a fire. The tribespeople would even insert glowing embers inside the abdominal cavity to smoke the body from the inside. Once totally dried and stiffened into a compact anthropomorphic jerky, the fire mummies were ready for internment. They were folded into tight fetal positions and then bound expertly with rope to fit inside diminutive wooden coffins carved into the shape of a Philippine lime called a kamansi. These miniature mummy-filled casings were then hidden away deep inside remote caves scattered throughout the rugged mountains. When Spanish colonizers arrived in the 1500s, bringing Catholic burial customs with them, the fiery mummification practices quickly died out. The locations of the Kabayan caves were eventually forgotten until wood gatherers happened upon them centuries later. Over 300 fire mummies have now been recovered from the caves, some dating back 1,500 years and bearing elaborate tribal tattoos still visible on their baked skin. Number 14, the Golden Bowl. In 1958, archaeologists in northwest Iran were sifting through the charred remains of the burned Iron Age stronghold known as Hirbads or Hesar Anzan, near modern Paranshar, when they made a magnificent yet gruesome discovery. Among the rubble, they uncovered a smashed golden bowl dating back over 3,000 years. Once news of the ancient treasure reached the press, it attracted much attention due to its dramatic backstory. The Golden Bowl, decorated with figurative scenes, originally belonged to the royal estates of Urartu, an Iron Age kingdom centered around Lake Van in modern Armenia. Based on the artistic style, it dates back to around 800 BCE. The bowl, weighing nearly 1 kilogram and measuring 14 centimeters in diameter, features imagery of warriors, chariots, and mythological creatures. Made of solid gold, it would have been an extremely valuable possession at the time, yet the bowl was found crushed and burned within the ruins of Hirbads. Scholars theorize that around 800 BCE, Hirbads came under attack from the Urartians. As enemy forces invaded the citadel, 3 soldiers grabbed the golden bowl from the treasury and attempted to sneak it away. However, they did not escape in time. The attack brought fiery destruction upon Hirbads, and the soldiers were trapped by falling bricks and debris. The smashed remains of the bowl were found near their outstretched hands. Rather than valiant guardians or heroes, these men were likely opportunistic looters, hoping to profit from stealing the treasure during the chaos of invasion. The gruesome demise of the soldiers serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of plunder. Their greed led them to risk their lives for material wealth, yet they ultimately lost everything, including their lives. The smashed golden bowl remains a symbol of the high costs of war and human avarice. Number 13, Homo floresiensis. What discovery could be more significant than uncovering the real-life ancient hobbit species? In 2003, a team of Indonesian and Australian archaeologists exploring Lang Buah Cave on the remote Indonesian island of Flores made an astounding discovery. Skeletal remains of tiny, human-like individuals standing just 1 meter tall as adults, with skulls housing brains only about 1/3 the size of normal modern humans. Due to their diminutive proportions reminiscent of the fictional hobbits, the species was formally named Homo floresiensis and represents a genuine, long-lost, and little-understood human ancestor. The small stature and unique combination of relatively advanced cranial and dental features of Homo floresiensis perplexed scientists, who intensely debated whether these were truly vestiges of a separate human species or merely diseased modern humans suffering from developmental disorders. However, recent extensive research and analysis have confirmed they were definitively a distinct early human lineage that inhabited the tropical island habitat until as recently as 50,000 years ago, overlapping with our species. Despite their tiny body and brain size roughly on par with Lucy's Australopithecus ancestors over 3 million years ago, they were not mere dwarfs or mutants, but a species clearly apart from the modern human line. Remarkably, excavations uncovered stone tools and evidence of fires, suggesting Homo floresiensis possessed enough intelligence and capability to sustain a culture successfully harnessing fire and producing relatively sophisticated tools and hunting strategies sufficient to thrive on the limited island resources for tens of thousands of years. How could a human-like species with such tiny cranial capacity and physical stature master essential technologies like tool-making and fire, and survive for eons alongside more advanced hominins? Their existence challenges many long-held assumptions about brain size, cognition, and human evolution. What other overlooked human relatives might still be found that force us to re-examine our origins? The hobbits of Flores exemplify why there will always be new discoveries awaiting us, even about ourselves. Number 12. The Demon on a Clay Tablet. In 2020, archaeologists announced the translation of a 2,700-year-old clay tablet found decades earlier in an ancient Assyrian cave sanctuary. The unique tablet depicts a demon named Zu and is inscribed with descriptions of an ancient exorcism ritual. The tablet provides rare insights into Mesopotamian demonology and folk medicine of the era. The tablet was first discovered in the mid-20th century within an underground cave located in northern Iraq. This sacred cave was part of a larger temple complex dedicated to the Assyrian national god Ashur and the winged deity Ninurta. Beginning in the 1950s, archaeologists excavated the subterranean spaces, uncovering hundreds of valuable tablets and artifacts that had remained untouched for millennia. Among the finds was the Zu tablet, which depicts the demon Zu in engraved illustration. He is shown as a winged hybrid creature with horns, the body of a man, the paws and tail of a bird, and a snake-like tongue. The text describes Zu as the wicked offspring of the god Anu. According to the inscription, Zu was believed to be an evil spirit who could possess humans and cause various afflictions, including seizures and erratic behavior. The Assyrian and Babylonian people of the time believed these conditions were caused by demonic forces rather than physical illnesses. The Zu tablet inscription records an incantation that priests would recite to expel the demon during an exorcism ritual. It states that by the power of the gods Anu, Antu, and Shamash, the spirit Zu shall be driven out and rendered powerless. Number 11. MOHENJO-DARO. Mohenjo-Daro was one of the most advanced Bronze Age urban centers in the Indus Valley of modern Pakistan and India. At its peak around 2500 BCE, the city had a population of over 35,000, larger than many ancient cities of Mesopotamia and Egypt. However, by 1800 BCE, it was completely abandoned. The ruins of Mohenjo-Daro remained undocumented for thousands of years until excavations began in the 1920s. Since then, archaeologists have uncovered fascinating details of this ancient city, while also revealing a dark mystery behind its demise. The name Mohenjo-Daro literally means "mound of the dead" in Sindhi. This ominous name comes from the ruins containing hundreds of human skeletons scattered haphazardly throughout the debris layers. What calamity befell its inhabitants to cause such large-scale loss of life? Evidence shows the city underwent catastrophic flooding, which may have also contaminated water supplies and spread disease. There are indications of mass evacuations from the flood zone, but many were unable to escape in time. Other more chilling theories suggest Mohenjo-Daro might have suffered invasion and conquest by nomadic Indo-Aryan tribes migrating into the Indus region at the time. Skeletal remains show signs of violent trauma, such as blunt force injuries to skulls and intact skeletons lying outstretched in the streets. Chemical analyses found traces of sulfur and other elements indicating possible use of incendiary weapons. Was Mohenjo-Daro burned and plundered by invading forces using some early form of chemical warfare? While climate change and natural disasters likely played a major role, archaeological evidence indicates Mohenjo-Daro's inhabitants also met a violent end. The identity of the city's conquerors remains a mystery, but the ruins containing hundreds of dead gave Mohenjo-Daro its ominous moniker that warns of the costs of ancient wars, especially for the defeated. The mound of corpses speaks of the brutality that arose across these once enlightened lands. Number 10. The Anunnaki tablets. The ancient astronaut theory poses a controversial question. Did extraterrestrial beings visit Earth in the distant past, sparking belief in gods and shaping the rise of ancient civilizations? Proponents point to sites like the Egyptian pyramids as evidence of higher technological knowledge imparted by otherworldly visitors millennia ago. A series of mysterious cuneiform tablets discovered in modern-day Iraq provide alleged proof of these ancient aliens and their activities on Earth. The over 6,000-year-old clay Sumerian tablets describe a race of superior beings called the Anunnaki who came to Earth in search of gold. According to the translations, these beings genetically engineered early humans to serve as their slaves and workers in the gold mines. The tablets even suggest the Anunnaki gods interbred with their human creations, alluding to demigod offspring like the Nephilim described in religious texts. They brought advanced technology and knowledge that shaped the rise of Mesopotamian civilization. While most scholars attribute the Anunnaki to mythological storytelling or symbolic representations of nature, ancient astronaut theorists claim the tablets describe actual extraterrestrial intervention on Earth in humanity's early development. They argue details like the complexity of Sumerian mathematics and astronomy indicate higher knowledge transferred from an alien race rather than independently developed by early humans. Whether one believes the radical ancient alien theory, the Anunnaki tablets exemplify the human impulse to explain our mysterious origins and linkages to the cosmos. Early cultures fashioned fantastical stories starring powerful gods descending from the skies. But as Carl Sagan once said, such stories tell us more about humanity's desire to find meaning than about our origins. While we may never know if ancient aliens truly existed outside of our collective imagination, the allure of fantastic possibilities propels humanity's quest for answers about our enigmatic beginnings. Number 9. Hidden Rooms of the Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal in Agra, India is renowned for its elegant Islamic architecture and romantic origins, having been built in the mid-1600s by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan as a monument symbolizing his deep love for his cherished wife Mumtaz Mahal. Yet legends persist that the UNESCO World Heritage Site may be hiding mysterious additional chambers concealed behind sealed doors in its lower level that have never been opened. Some Hindu nationalists and researchers have theorized that the Taj Mahal is actually built on top of an ancient Hindu temple devoted to the god Shiva. They argue that Shah Jahan seized a sacred Hindu site and constructed the Taj Mahal over it as part of the Mughal conquest and religious repression of India. Proponents point to accounts of the site previously being called Tejo Mahalaya, containing a Shiva temple. They claim the sealed underground chambers may contain sacred Hindu idols, inscriptions, or other evidence supporting the temple theory. Other accounts describe how Shah Jahan intended the Taj Mahal to ultimately serve as his own opulent tomb and gateway to paradise. As evidence, contemporary court writings detail how Mughal mausoleums of that era typically had lower chambers built in order to house the tombs of nobles and royals. Several accounts from the 1600s also depict the Taj Mahal as containing multiple stories, including complex lower levels. However, only the stacked cenotaphs on the main level are visible to visitors today. In 2015, the Archaeological Survey of India conducted underground scans of the Taj Mahal's sealed lower-level rooms using ground-penetrating radar. The scans definitively revealed the presence of a significant void or chamber underneath the surface behind the walls on the lower story. However, authorities prohibit further direct exploration or drilling through the walls due to concerns that it could irreparably damage the marble building. So the contents and purpose of these hidden inner chambers remain a tantalizing mystery. Perhaps the most intriguing legend suggests that in his profound grief after Mumtaz's death, Shah Jahan purposefully had the most precious treasures and antiquities of the extravagant Mughal Empire sealed away to be buried with him in the mausoleum. For now, we can only speculate what wonders or even hidden Hindu temples may still lie shrouded within those unopened vaults after 400 years. Number 8. Baby bones from Ashkelon. The ancient seaport of Ashkelon, located on the southern coast of Israel along the Mediterranean Sea, served as a major commercial hub during the Bronze and Iron Ages. Excavations at the site have revealed relics from its long history back to the Neolithic period. But in 1987, archaeologist Lawrence Stager made a disturbing discovery. Beneath a Roman-era bathhouse, he uncovered a sewer clogged with human baby bones. Further investigations revealed over 100 infant skeletons accumulated in the drain just below the bathhouse. Forensic study determined they ranged from newborn to 3 months old, and all died shortly after birth. Dating evidence indicates the infants were deposited during late Roman times in the 3rd to 4th century AD. Archaeologists theorize the bathhouse may have served as a brothel, where women disposed of unwanted babies. In some cultures, newborns were not considered fully human, so infanticide was a common practice for birth control. Typically, this involved exposing the child, abandoning them to the elements and fate. Yet the Ashkelon remains showed no signs of exposure or natural death. Instead, they appeared deliberately murdered, with skulls smashed and limbs removed. This brutal infanticide was likely done by the mothers or servants given the location beneath the bathhouse. The sewer provided a convenient site to conceal the tiny corpses away from public view. Number 7. The Hanging Pillar. Among India's many historic Hindu temples lies an intriguing 16th century edifice called Lapakshi in the Anantapur district of Andhra Pradesh. While beautiful examples of Vijayanagara architectural style abound here, one particular pillar situated inside the temple astounds visitors. Known as the Hanging Pillar, this column appears to magically hang in mid-air without any visible crossbeams or supports underneath. Approaching the Hanging Pillar, visitors can pass objects like a scarf, sheet of paper, or even a human arm completely underneath the pillar to verify that a gap of several centimeters exists on all sides. The pillar seems to impossibly hang weightless, suspended in defiance of gravity. In actuality, the entire foundation is a brilliantly crafted architectural illusion. The column connects directly to the ceiling and contains a hidden load-bearing beam cleverly concealed inside its elaborate carvings. Still, in an era constructed without any modern machinery, the skill needed to construct such a deception displays remarkable ingenuity. The optical trick has survived over 400 years, since the temple's completion with the Hanging Pillar's secret intact. The designer's creativity combined with expert structural know-how allowed them to achieve something seemingly impossible. Even knowing its secret, the Hanging Pillar continues to evoke a sense of fascination and wonder in those who view it centuries later. Architectural sites like Lapakshi Temple exemplify the artistic sophistication and advanced engineering capabilities of ancient Indian builders. The Hanging Pillar in particular demonstrates the technical abilities required to craft grand architectural deceptions using stone, sculpture, and sheer cleverness. Those who engineered this feat over 400 years ago fulfilled a task that appears impossible even in today's world. Number 6. A pit full of heads. A headless body in a kneeling posture was recently discovered at the Shimao Ancient City Archaeological Site in Shanxi Province, central China. Archaeologists believe the skeleton was the victim of ritual decapitation and burial more than 3,600 years ago during the late Shang dynasty. The skeleton was found arranged with its hands bound behind its back and placed in a kneeling upright position, facing north. Several meters away lay a pile of over 80 human heads that had been severed from their bodies. The location of the headless remains and the arrangement of its limbs point to a deliberate ceremonial burial after execution by beheading. According to oracle bone writings and other artifacts from the Shang dynasty capital at Yinshu, kings frequently sacrificed and buried servants and slaves, often foreigners from conquered lands, as tributes to their ancestors and gods. One burial pit at Yinshu contained over 300 victims slaughtered and buried together. While the identity of the kneeling skeleton remains unknown, archaeologists suspect it was likely a captive from a rival tribe sacrificed during the construction of the Shimao city. The arranged bodies and severed heads reflect the horrific brutality used by the Shang kings to expand their empire and control populations through fear. Ritual beheading served the dual purpose of offering human tributes and terrifying others into submission. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. The Swat Valley in Pakistan was home to some of the world's earliest cultures and has direct ties to early Buddhism. Due to its great antiquity, the region often yields mysterious artifacts from bygone eras. Recently, a local resident discovered a strange wooden box embedded in a drying lake. The box features engraved markings and symbols. While the contents remain unknown, the box provokes the imagination. Does it hide glittering treasure like in childhood tales of discovered chests brimming with gold? Or perhaps ancient texts or relics that could reshape our historical knowledge? Share your theories on what forgotten secrets this mystifying box may contain. Number 5. Ancient Living Forest. In 2016, a team of speleologists exploring sinkholes in Guangxi Province, China, made an incredible discovery. A massive underground forest with trees up to 40 meters tall, living in complete darkness for over 2,800 years. These ancient trees survived in a hidden time capsule buried beneath the surface in an eerie subterranean landscape untouched by humans. The ancient forest was found in 3 enormous water-filled sinkholes connected by underground caves near Fengshan County. The caves are inaccessible to humans and can only be explored with remote cameras. The footage revealed towering pillars of limestone scattered among lush vegetation growing up toward distant sunlight from cave skylights above. These sunbeams provide just enough light for massive ancient trees to thrive in the cave below. Specialized species of plants like begonias, ferns, and mosses cover the cavern floor and cliff walls in a thick blanket of vegetation. Due to the sinkhole's inaccessibility and isolation from the outside world, many of these plant species are likely unknown to science and found nowhere else on Earth. Without human interference, the underground ecosystem has continued evolving in unique ways over millennia. The ancient forest likely contains rare organisms and genetic diversity, offering invaluable clues to adaptation, survival, and the origins of flora from the region. Upon first discovering the footage, one scientist stated, "I wouldn't be surprised if there are species down there that are unknown to science, plants that are unknown. We really don't know what's down there." Unfortunately, secrecy surrounds the sinkhole's locations to prevent looting, meaning specialized teams are needed to carefully document and preserve this natural wonder before any public access can be allowed. For now, this ancient forest remains shrouded in darkness, a real-life fountain of youth where exotic flora flourishes in an untouched primordial landscape completely cut off from the outside world for over 28 centuries. One can only imagine what future revelations lie waiting to be illuminated in the sunless depths. Number 4. Bizarre alien-like skull. In 2014, archaeologists discovered 3 strange, elongated skulls in a burial site near Gyeongju, the capital of Korea's ancient Silla kingdom, dating back over 1,500 years. 2 skulls showed obvious signs of artificial cranial deformation, but the third had truly bizarre, alien-like proportions with no clear evidence of binding or modification. Cranial deformation involves distorting the skull's natural shape through prolonged compression, commonly achieved by tightly binding an infant's head with rigid material over a period of months to years. Many cultures practiced head binding, resulting in elongated skulls up to 45 centimeters long. However, normal proportions are maintained. In contrast, the Zhengzhou skull measured 33 centimeters long but only 13 centimeters wide, 25% longer than even extreme cranial binding can achieve. Nothing like it had been found before. Anthropologists were baffled by the highly abnormal proportions, calling the skull enigmatic and showing no indications of deliberate deformation. Could this be evidence of a new human species or hybrids? Extensive DNA testing proved inconclusive. There were also no artifacts indicating the ancestry or origins of the remains. While the exact factors causing the skull's bizarre alien-like dimensions remain unknown, the discovery challenges assumptions about morphological diversity in ancient human populations. Number 3. Mystifying MAIJISHAN. Carved into the cliffs of western China's Gansu province, MAIJISHAN is a sprawling Buddhist cave temple complex constructed over 1,500 years ago under the Northern Wei and Sui dynasties. Within its 194 hand-carved caves exist over 7,200 colorful Buddhist statues and bas-reliefs, along with ancient murals spread across more than 10,000 square meters, representing one of the largest and most well-preserved collections of Buddhist art from the era anywhere in China. Yet beyond the immense size and beauty of MAIJISHAN lies a deeper metaphysical mystique that continues to perplex archaeologists and scholars. Notably, many complex statues, poses, and hand gestures encoded hidden symbolism that served as esoteric communication to preserve profound spiritual insights accessible only to initiated practitioners. These cryptic mudras represented mystical ideas far beyond the understanding of the common people. Researchers still struggle to decode all of their concealed meanings. Adding to the aura of mystique are peculiar architectural features woven throughout the cave tunnels, such as irregularly shaped pillars, strangely slanted floors, uneven niche dimensions, and disorienting layouts. Just as the unusual statues and murals contained metaphysical puzzles, the mind-bending architecture also seemed designed to manipulate perception and transport one's mind toward transcendent truths, typically imperceptible in normal states of consciousness. What inscrutable revelations were ancient seekers accessing in these esoteric spaces lost to time? In the absence of documented history, we can only speculate on how the sandstone made its way to MAIJISHAN across long distances many centuries ago. Number 2. The Terracotta Army. The Terracotta Army refers to the thousands of life-size ceramic sculptures depicting soldiers, horses, and chariots discovered near the tomb complex of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, located near the city of Xi'an. The immense buried army featuring over 8,000 soldiers was built to guard the emperor against enemies in the afterlife after his death over 2,200 years ago. The army figures were crafted with skilled artistry, bearing lively expressions and wearing stylized military apparel. Each face was uniquely sculpted, and the figures ranged from generals to archers and infantrymen. In 210 BC, at the age of 49, the emperor died suddenly while traveling, likely from poisoning. Per his decrees, the royal tomb was sealed off, containing treasures and replicas of his earthly domain. The Terracotta Army was buried in battle formation around the tomb in 3 underground pits covering over 20,000 square meters. The pits remained forgotten for millennia until local farmers unearthed shards of the figures in 1974. Since then, over 2,000 terracotta warriors have been identified through meticulous excavations, which are ongoing to this day. Based on records, many thousands more likely still remain buried and await discovery. Besides the figures, real weapons like 40,000 bronze swords, arrowheads, and chariot wheels have been found, identifying Qin Shi Huang's advanced military might. Number 1. The Fairy World of Ancient China. In 2015, archaeologists announced an enchanting discovery, a pit containing bronze sculptures of fairies and monsters dating back 2,500 years to China's Warring States period. Found near Sichuan village in Henan province, The artifacts depict whimsical mythological creatures that reveal the imaginary world once inhabited by ancient minds. The pit contained over 24 figurines measuring 5 to 16 centimeters in height. There are owls with human heads, seated fairies, beetles with wings like cicadas, masks of demons, and strange humanoid figures holding snakes. One charming statue depicts a fairy in flowing robes holding a mushroom. According to lead archaeologist Kang Yan, the objects reflect the fantasies and imaginations typical of the Warring States period. They provide a window on myth-making and popular religion 2,500 years ago. However, the circumstances surrounding the burial are somewhat ominous. The figurines were intentionally damaged with cuts and fragments before being placed in the pit. Some were burned and smashed. Ritual destruction of objects frequently occurs to remove them from the human world and allow their spirits to transition to the afterlife. The fairy sculptures may have been animated by spiritual forces now released through destruction. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.